What if the story of human genius is not a simple ascent, but a series of forgotten peaks and hidden valleys? We are often told that humanity's path has been a continuous climb, slowly emerging from primitive beginnings to reach the technological marvels of our present age. This narrative suggests a linear progression, a steady march from basic tools and simple shelters to complex societies and advanced science. Yet scattered across our world and whispering through the deepest currents of time are echoes that tell a far stranger tale. These are the whispers of extraordinary achievements, monuments that defy easy explanation, artifacts that seem to belong to another era, and ancient texts that hint at a knowledge we have yet to fully rediscover. What if our understanding of ancient human ingenuity is but a fleeting glimpse of a far grander story, a momentary flicker in a long and complex history that stretches back beyond our accepted timelines? Mainstream history paints a clear picture. For hundreds of thousands of years, our ancestors are said to have lived as hunter-gatherers, their lives dictated by survival, their tools rudimentary and unchanging. Then, in a relatively recent burst of activity, agriculture emerged, followed by the first cities, writing, and the foundations of what we call civilization. This official timeline, stretching back only a few thousand years, feels neatly ordered, a logical sequence of development. It proposes a clear, steady progression from simple to sophisticated, where each step builds predictably on the last. But what if this neatly ordered progression is a surface story, a thin layer covering a much deeper, more complex reality? What if the slow, steady climb we envision for humanity is merely the most recent path, carved over the bones of forgotten endeavors? Echoes of extraordinary achievements persist, refusing to fit into the conventional framework, challenging the accepted narrative of a linear march from primitive to advanced. These anomalies, these whispers from the past, suggest that human history may be less of a straight line and more of a winding, unpredictable journey. Across every continent, we find ourselves confronted by an enduring enigma. Monumental structures built with colossal stones and baffling precision stand as silent witnesses to capabilities that seem impossible for their time. Who moved these impossibly heavy blocks, some weighing many tons, and shaped them with such intricate detail long before the invention of modern machinery? Beyond these structures, perplexing artifacts emerge from layers of earth, objects that appear to possess a sophistication far beyond the known capabilities of their supposed creators. Were these accidental creations, or do they represent a lost understanding of materials and mechanics? And then there are the ancient texts, rich with symbolism, yet often describing technologies and events that sound less like poetic myth and more like distant, fragmented memories of advanced craft or scientific insight. Scattered across our world, these monumental structures, perplexing artifacts, and enigmatic texts hint at knowledge beyond their time, acting as persistent riddles that prick at the edges of our understanding and introduce us to an enduring enigma.
Imagine the quiet possibility that entire civilizations, as advanced and intricate as our own, may have risen and flourished in ages long past. Societies that mastered engineering to move mountains, astronomy to chart the cosmos with breathtaking accuracy, and craft to create objects of unparalleled beauty and function. They may have developed technologies that we are only now beginning to comprehend, intricate systems of knowledge that allowed them to interact with their world in ways we can barely conceive. These were not primitive cultures, but perhaps sophisticated societies that mastered technologies we deem modern. But then, as if swept away by a colossal hand, their legacy was obscured, not necessarily through a single dramatic cataclysm, but perhaps through the slow, relentless erosion of time itself, combined with geological shifts, rising seas, or other natural forces that conspired to bury, dissolve, and forget. Their cities turned to dust or sank beneath the waves. Their records faded, and their achievements became at best a faint whisper in the collective memory of humanity. This quiet possibility suggests that our modern world may not be the first peak of human ingenuity, but merely the latest.
This leads us to the central mystery that frames our current understanding. How could people, whom we generally categorize as primitive and developing, achieve feats of engineering, astronomy, and craft that defy explanation even today? We are told that ancient cultures used simple stone or copper tools, yet we see evidence of cuts that suggest laser-like precision, intricate shaping, and impossible angles. We are taught that early astronomers lacked sophisticated instruments, yet monumental structures align with celestial events with astonishing accuracy, demonstrating a profound understanding of cosmic rhythms and cycles. How could societies without written language, without the wheel, without complex mathematics, organize vast populations to construct edifices that endure for millennia, embodying principles of design and geometry that seem to anticipate modern science? This profound discrepancy between the accepted limitations of ancient peoples and the undeniable complexity of their surviving works is the heart of the enigma. It hints at a hidden chapter, a forgotten potential, a lineage of brilliance that does not fit our linear view of human progress, challenging our understanding of what was truly possible in the deep past. Tonight, this documentary invites us on a journey. It is a journey not into the past as a collection of static facts, but as a living, breathing tapestry where threads of forgotten genius are waiting to be rediscovered. We will listen intently to the whispers of these forgotten geniuses, allowing the monumental structures, the perplexing artifacts, and the enigmatic texts to speak to us directly. Our task is to piece together these fragments, to connect the scattered clues, and to explore the possibility that they are not mere anomalies, but remnants of a hidden chapter in humanity's past, a chapter that tells of advanced knowledge, sophisticated civilizations, and technological prowess that challenges our every assumption about who we are and where we come from. This journey sets the stage for a deeper exploration, inviting us to look beyond the surface, to question the convenient explanations, and to open our minds to what might truly lie buried beneath the sands of time. The profound implication of this possibility, if these secrets are real, is nothing short of a complete reevaluation of our own story. Our history would cease to be a simple, unbroken line of progress, and instead become a grand, intricate saga of rises and falls, of knowledge gained and lost, of civilizations emerging, reaching heights, and then receding into the mists of deep time. It would mean that humanity has, perhaps, achieved advanced states of development many times before, only to have its achievements erased by forces both natural and temporal. Our story would be far richer, woven with layers of forgotten ingenuity, complex and awe-inspiring beyond anything we currently dare to imagine. It would redefine not only our past, but our present and our potential future, reminding us that the vast age of the Earth holds more secrets than we have ever acknowledged, and that the quiet possibility of forgotten geniuses might just be the greatest story never fully told. Building on the quiet possibilities we have explored, we now turn to the physical remnants, the colossal stone sentinels scattered across our planet. These are the silent giants, monuments carved and arranged with an impossible precision that continues to perplex us. How were such immense stones moved, shaped, and aligned by societies we often label as simple, primitive, or developing? The methods described by mainstream history often feel insufficient, almost an evasion for the sheer scale and accuracy displayed in these ancient wonders. They stand as enduring questions, etched in rock, challenging the very foundation of our historical understanding. Perhaps no site embodies this enigma more profoundly than Göbekli Tepe in southeastern Turkey. Uncovered only recently, this vast ceremonial complex rewrites our understanding of early human civilization. Dating back at least 12,000 years, to a time thousands of years before the accepted emergence of agriculture or permanent settlements, Göbekli Tepe presents an astonishing paradox. We are told that people at this epoch were simple hunter-gatherers, living nomadic lives, their survival a constant struggle against the elements. Yet here we find them engaged in a project of staggering ambition and complexity. Circular enclosures, some dozens of meters in diameter, are defined by enormous T-shaped pillars, many weighing between 10 and 20 tons. These monolithic stones are not merely set in place. They are intricately carved with detailed reliefs of animals, foxes, boars, snakes, birds, suggesting a rich symbolic world and a mastery of stone artistry. The site demands an entirely new perspective on the capabilities of our distant ancestors.
The sheer undertaking of Göbekli Tepe suggests a level of sophisticated organization, knowledge, and skill that mainstream archaeology struggles to place in its accepted timeline. Moving stones of such immense weight, carving them with intricate precision, using tools we cannot easily identify, and then arranging them into astronomically significant structures would have required immense cooperation, leadership, and a deep understanding of engineering principles. This was not the work of isolated bands of hunter-gatherers, but of a complex society capable of long-term planning, resource allocation, and specialized labor. It is as though an advanced culture sprang fully formed into existence, challenging the very notion of a slow, linear progression from basic existence to complex society. The builders of Göbekli Tepe possessed a profound knowledge of their environment, their materials, and perhaps even the heavens, forcing us to ask if this site is not merely an early example of human ingenuity, but a surviving fragment of an earlier, far more advanced cultural cycle. Far across the world, high in the Bolivian Andes, lie the perplexing ruins of Pumapunku. Here, massive blocks of stone, many weighing over 100 tons, are found cut with an almost impossibly precise accuracy. These are not rough-hewn boulders, but interlocking architectural components, some featuring intricate H shapes and perfect internal and external right angles. The stone itself, primarily andesite and diorite, is incredibly hard, yet the cuts are so clean, the surfaces so flat, and the drill holes so precise that they appear to have been made with tools far more advanced than anything known to have existed in the region at the time. We are led to wonder how ancient people, without the wheel, without iron tools, and without advanced lifting technology, managed to achieve such feats. The raw materials themselves were not quarried locally, implying an additional layer of logistical and engineering mastery to transport them to this remote mountain plateau. The architectural mystery of Pumapunku only deepens upon closer inspection. The interlocking design of the blocks, fitting together like a giant, meticulously crafted puzzle, suggests a sophisticated understanding of seismic engineering. Yet the precision of these cuts, the perfect planar surfaces, and the almost laser-like accuracy of the corners defy explanation through rudimentary hammering and grinding. It is as though the stone was molded rather than carved, or cut with an unknown technology capable of working hard, igneous rock with ease. This intricate engineering hints at technologies lost to history, perhaps a forgotten science of stone cutting that allowed for a level of precision we can only replicate today with modern machinery. Pumapunku stands as a testament to an intelligence and capability that does not fit comfortably within our accepted narrative, suggesting a civilization with tools and methods we simply cannot imagine our ancestors possessing. Then there is the Great Pyramid of Giza, a monumental structure that continues to astound engineers and researchers alike. Beyond its sheer, overwhelming scale, composed of millions of limestone blocks, each weighing many tons, it embodies an astonishing level of precision and encoded knowledge. The pyramid is aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal points, its faces oriented to true north, south, east, and west with an accuracy that rivals modern surveying techniques. This alignment, achieved thousands of years ago, demonstrates a profound understanding of astronomy and geomagnetism that should not have been possible. Even more intriguingly, many researchers believe the pyramid encodes fundamental mathematical and astronomical constants within its dimensions. The ratio of its height to its perimeter, for example, approximates the value of pi, while other measurements seem to relate to the Earth's circumference and polar radius. These are not simple coincidences, but suggest an intentional design, a grand message built into stone. The precision of Giza begs the question, how was such perfection achieved with the supposed tools and methods available at the time? Traditional explanations involve vast armies of laborers, ramps, and rudimentary copper tools. Yet the astonishing accuracy of the pyramid's angles, the near-perfect flatness of its casing stones, and the monumental effort required to lift and place millions of multi-ton blocks with such exactitude challenge these explanations. Copper tools, even with skilled hands, would struggle to achieve the kind of exactitude seen in Giza's construction.
Could it be that the builders of the Great Pyramid possessed a deeper, forgotten science of construction, perhaps leveraging principles of acoustics, resonance, or an unknown form of energy to manipulate and shape stone? The evidence points to a level of engineering sophistication that transcends the simple narrative of a developing civilization, hinting instead at an advanced knowledge that has been lost to time. Across the English landscape, the enduring mystery of Stonehenge stands as another profound challenge to our understanding of ancient capabilities. These colossal sarsen stones, some weighing up to 50 tons and smaller bluestones transported hundreds of miles, are arranged in a complex circular pattern. Stonehenge's most striking feature, however, is not merely its construction, but its sophisticated celestial alignments. The monument is intricately designed to mark the solstices, particularly the summer solstice sunrise, which perfectly aligns with the heel stone. This precise orientation demonstrates a deep and advanced astronomical understanding, allowing the builders to track the movements of the sun and potentially the moon and stars with remarkable accuracy. Such a feat would have required generations of observation, meticulous planning, and an intellectual capacity far beyond basic survival. Stonehenge serves as a powerful reminder that our ancestors were not merely concerned with the immediate practicalities of life. They were deeply connected to the cosmos, capable of long-term planning and executing projects that required immense communal effort and specialized knowledge. The enduring question then arises for all these silent giants: are these megaliths mere ceremonial sites, grand temples to forgotten gods, or are they something more? Could they be the last enduring testaments to a lost age of advanced engineering and knowledge, fragments of a profound understanding that survived the cycles of erasure? Their very existence challenges the linear progression of history, whispering of forgotten genius, of civilizations that reached heights we are only now beginning to comprehend, leaving us to piece together the fragments of their astonishing legacy. Beyond the silent testaments of stone that stand on land, there are other whispers of forgotten ages, records that challenge our understanding of the past in a different, equally profound way. These are the enigmatic charts that depict lands supposedly unknown to ancient peoples, and the submerged cities now hidden beneath the waves, remnants of worlds swallowed by the sea. What if ancient cartographers knew the world in ways we have only recently rediscovered, charting coastlines and continents long before their official discovery by modern explorers? Consider the Piri Reis map, an astonishing document created in 1513 by an Ottoman admiral. What makes this map so extraordinary is not merely its age, but what it appears to show. Alongside the familiar outlines of Europe, Africa, and South America, the map depicts a southern landmass that bears a striking resemblance to Antarctica. More puzzling still, this coastline is not covered in ice, but is shown ice-free, as it would have been thousands of years ago, long before the present ice sheet formed. Official history tells us that Antarctica was not even discovered until the early 19th century. So how could a map from 1513 include its outline, let alone without the vast shroud of ice that has covered it for millennia? The most common explanation offered by those who ponder this anomaly is that Piri Reis did not create this information himself. In his own notes, the admiral stated that his map was compiled from many older sources, some of which he described as ancient. If that is true, then the knowledge of Antarctica and other intricate coastlines may have come from civilizations that existed long before the accepted rise of Greece, Rome, or even Mesopotamia. Such a possibility hints at global seafaring civilizations, societies capable of exploration and navigation on a scale we rarely attribute to the distant past, cultures that traversed oceans and charted lands before the last great ice age ended. They would have possessed a profound understanding of the Earth's geography, a knowledge that somehow survived the passage of epochs. The Piri Reis map is not an isolated puzzle. Another such document is the Orienteus Finus map of 1531, which also depicts an ice-free southern continent, mirroring many of the features seen on the Piri Reis chart. This second example reinforces the mystery of advanced ancient cartography, suggesting a shared, perhaps inherited body of geographical knowledge. Even more remarkably, the Bush map of 1737 portrays rivers and mountain ranges beneath Antarctica's ice sheet, features that modern science only confirmed in the 20th century through the use of advanced radar and seismic surveys. If these maps were indeed copied from older ones, it implies that someone had surveyed Antarctica with incredible detail and accuracy long before conventional history acknowledges the possibility of such feats. These cartographic anomalies suggest a world known and mapped by an earlier humanity, a humanity with skills in navigation and observation that simply do not fit our established timeline.
These maps force us to consider a profound question. If such sophisticated knowledge of Earth's landmasses existed in antiquity, what other aspects of their world might have been charted and explored? It leads us to another realm of forgotten evidence: cities swallowed by the sea. If Earth's coastlines have dramatically shifted, as we know they have, then how many ancient metropolises, how many harbors and settlements now lie hidden beneath the waves, their stories silent and unknown? At the end of the last ice age, approximately 12,000 to 10,000 years ago, massive glaciers melted, causing global sea levels to rise by more than 100 meters. Vast stretches of fertile land and ancient shorelines vanished beneath the encroaching oceans. Today, nearly all of humanity's great cities are coastal, built along the edges of the sea, taking advantage of trade, resources, and easy transport. If ancient civilizations followed a similar pattern, then many of their settlements, perhaps their grandest cities, would now lie underwater, hidden from us by the depths. In recent decades, divers and underwater archaeologists have begun to discover sites that seem to confirm this haunting possibility. One of the most striking is the Uniguni Monument, located off the coast of Japan. Here, beneath the waves, lies a massive stone structure that resembles distinct steps, terraces, and platforms, all carved from a single bedrock formation. Some researchers argue that it is merely a natural formation, shaped by the relentless forces of erosion over millennia. Yet others insist that the sharp angles, perfectly flat surfaces, and organized layout including what appeared to be carved passageways and intricate structures, strongly suggest human design and intervention. If Yonaguni is indeed man-made, it would date back at least 10,000 years, to a time when the land was above sea level. This would make it far older than any known city or complex stone construction in mainstream history. The implications of Yonaguni are immense. It pushes back the timeline of complex stone architecture by thousands of years, to a period when mainstream history struggles to acknowledge such advanced capabilities. It suggests that a civilization with the knowledge and organization to quarry, shape, and construct monumental structures existed at a time we deem primitive. Such a discovery challenges the fundamental narrative of human development, implying that complex societies may have risen and fallen long before the official dawn of civilization. These similar mysteries exist elsewhere, reinforcing the idea of drowned worlds. In the Gulf of Combat, off the coast of India, sonar scans have revealed what appeared to be the remains of large urban settlements, now deeply submerged. Divers have recovered artifacts from these sites, including pottery and tools, suggesting an antiquity that defies the accepted timeline. Some estimates place these ruins at 9,000 years old or more, a date that would dramatically push back the known history of Indian civilization, suggesting a sophisticated culture thriving at a time when we believe humanity was only just beginning to experiment with agriculture. The lost city of Dwarka, also in India, provides another powerful testament to these drowned worlds. Mentioned in ancient texts, particularly the Mahabharata, Dwarka is described as a magnificent city built by the god Krishna, a place of grand palaces and shining streets that ultimately sunk beneath the waves. For centuries, this was dismissed as myth. However, archaeological evidence of a submerged city off the coast of modern Dwarka has been found, matching descriptions from these ancient texts. These ruins now rest under the sea, suggesting they were built before the dramatic sea levels rose at the end of the last ice age. The convergence of ancient legend and physical evidence creates a compelling narrative, suggesting that these myths are not mere stories, but echoes of real places, real catastrophes. These submerged ruins, whether they be the geometric enigma of Yonaguni or the legendary echoes of Dwarka, profoundly challenge our static view of geography and human history. They suggest that advanced coastal societies flourished in earlier ages, only to be lost to the dramatic, often sudden sea level changes that marked the end of glacial periods. They serve as a powerful testament to civilizations that rose, built, and thrived along ancient shorelines, only to have their entire world transformed, their achievements swallowed by the relentless advance of the ocean. The enduring legacy of these ancient maps and underwater ruins is immense. They function as faint records, tenuous links to a past far richer and more complex than we currently admit. They hint at advanced navigation, suggesting an era when global exploration might have been commonplace. They speak of sophisticated architecture and construction techniques applied to monumental structures, some of which now lie in watery graves. And, most importantly, they paint a picture of a drastically different ancient world, one where civilizations may have flourished, charting seas and building cities, only for their world to be irrevocably altered by geological forces. These anomalies are not just curiosities, they are profound clues, urging us to reconsider the timeline of human history and to acknowledge the very real possibility of forgotten worlds lying just beyond the reach of our current understanding, waiting quietly in the deep time of the planet. Beyond the silent testaments of colossal stone and the drowned secrets of the deep, another category of enigma quietly challenges our understanding of the past. It is the realm of artifacts that should not exist. Objects unearthed from ancient layers, speaking of technologies far beyond what their supposed era should allow. These are not grand structures spanning continents, but often smaller, more intimate glimpses into a forgotten ingenuity, suggesting that history's attic may hold wonders we are only beginning to decipher. One such object, perhaps the most famous of these out-of-place artifacts, is the Antikythera mechanism.
Discovered in a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera in 1901, this corroded lump of bronze initially seemed unremarkable. But as archaeologists carefully pieced together its fragments, an intrigued system of precisely machined gears, dials, and pointers began to emerge. It was an intricate system of precisely machined gears, dials, and pointers designed to calculate and display astronomical phenomena with astonishing accuracy. Sometimes called the world's first computer, it was capable of predicting eclipses, tracking the movements of the sun, moon, and even some planets. Its complexity challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient Greek technology. The Antikythera mechanism dates back more than 2,000 years to around 150 to 100 BCE. Yet nothing else like it, with its intricate differential gearing and mathematical precision, was seen again for over a millennium. Its unparalleled sophistication stands as a solitary peak in the technological landscape of the ancient world. How could such a device be conceived, designed, and constructed using only the tools and knowledge attributed to that period? Its existence raises profound questions about lost knowledge, about the possibility that entire branches of science and engineering may have been developed and then forgotten, only to be rediscovered much later in history. It hints that the linear progression we imagine for ancient Greek technology might be incomplete, perhaps even a reawakening of skills from an earlier, unrecorded age. Far from the precise gears of Antikythera, another puzzling artifact whispers of a different kind of forgotten science. In a museum in Baghdad sits a humble clay pot, roughly 2,000 years old. Known as the Baghdad Battery, this unassuming vessel contains a copper cylinder, which in turn encloses an iron rod, all sealed with bitumen. For decades, researchers have debated its purpose. While mainstream archaeology often identifies it as a container for scrolls, others have proposed a more radical function, that it was an ancient voltaic cell, a battery capable of generating a small electrical current. Experiments have shown that when an acidic electrolyte, such as grape juice or vinegar, is added to the pot, the assembly can indeed produce a measurable voltage. If the Baghdad battery truly functioned as an electrical device, its implications are vast. It would suggest an understanding of electrochemistry that existed in Mesopotamia far earlier than believed, pushing back the timeline for knowledge of electricity by over 1,500 years. What was this electricity used for? Was it for electroplating, for ancient rituals, or for some other purpose we cannot yet imagine? Like the Antikythera mechanism, it stands as an isolated anomaly, a fragment of a potential technology that should not have been present in its time, challenging our assumptions about the inventive capacity of early civilizations. From tangible objects, we turn to the rich tapestries of ancient texts, where descriptions of the impossible often reside. The epic poems of India, like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, contain vivid accounts of vimanas. These were not mere chariots, but sophisticated flying machines, described with astonishing detail. The texts speak of vimanas of various shapes and sizes, flying palaces, aerial cars, and even war machines, capable of traversing vast distances, soaring above the clouds, and engaging in aerial combat. Some passages describe their construction, their fuel sources, and even their piloting techniques.
Are these poetic metaphors the wild imaginings of ancient poets, or are they fragmented accounts of lost technologies that once graced the skies of an earlier age? The sheer consistency and often technical specificity of these descriptions across different texts and periods make them more than simple fantasy. If the Earth has indeed been reset, these tales might be the lingering cultural memories of advanced aerial craft passed down through generations of survivors until their original context was lost, transforming technology into mythology. The idea of sky-faring civilizations reduced to legendary status paints a compelling picture of a world far richer and more complex than we currently allow. Even the mastery of materials hints at forgotten knowledge. The exquisite gold artistry of pre-Inca cultures such as the Moche or the Nazca,
or the fine filigree of Egyptian jewelry often showcases a level of artistry and metallurgical skill that defies our conventional understanding. How were these intricate forms cast, soldered, or engraved with such delicate precision using the rudimentary tools attributed to these societies? Some gold artifacts from South America display alloys and techniques that modern metallurgists struggle to replicate without specialized equipment. This suggests either an extraordinary manual skill, developed over countless generations, or a lost understanding of metallurgy that allowed them to manipulate metals in ways we no longer comprehend. This echoes the impossible cuts we find in megalithic stonework, the perfect angles and smooth surfaces that suggest tools capable of far more than simple abrasion, even if those tools are nowhere to be found. The precision required for these ancient feats, whether in intricate goldwork or massive stone structures, hints at techniques, perhaps even power sources, lost to the relentless march of time and geological upheaval. These out-of-place artifacts, these tales of skyfaring craft, and these unparalleled feats of craftwork are not easily dismissed. Mainstream explanations often struggle to integrate them into a linear progression, labeling them as singular leaps of genius, rare exceptions, or simply misinterpreted records. For a long time, the Antikythera mechanism was treated as an isolated marvel, a fluke of brilliant invention that had no predecessors and no successors for centuries. The Baghdad battery's purpose remains officially debated, its potential implications often sidelined. Vimanas are firmly placed in the realm of myth and fantasy. But if we consider the possibility of earlier cycles, of civilizations that rose and fell, then these anomalies become something else entirely. They are not mere curiosities, but precious fragments, tangible whispers of sophisticated knowledge from cycles before our own. They are the scattered pieces of a puzzle, surviving the relentless erasure of time and catastrophe to speak to us today, reminding us that what we know of history may only be the most recent layer of an infinitely deeper story. We have looked at the monumental structures, the perplexing artifacts, and the enigmatic maps that suggest a deeper, more complex story to human history. But if such advanced civilizations truly existed, where is their evidence? Why do we find only these scattered whispers and not entire cities, complete records, or an unbroken timeline? The answer lies in the relentless power of the Earth itself, a force that acts not as a preserver, but as an eraser. Our planet is a dynamic, ever-changing entity. It is not a museum that carefully safeguards every layer of its past. Instead, it is a restless surface, constantly reshaping itself, burying, dissolving, and forgetting the achievements of countless ages. Immense natural events, far grander than any human conflict, have repeatedly reshaped the planet and erased its past inhabitants. These geological cataclysms are not rare anomalies. They are part of Earth's fundamental rhythm, powerful enough to wipe clean the slate of history. Consider the end of the last ice age, a period that reshaped the world profoundly. For tens of thousands of years, vast sheets of ice covered much of the northern hemisphere, locking away colossal amounts of water. But around 12,000 years ago, as the climate warmed, these glaciers melted. The effect was dramatic. Global sea levels rose by more than 100 meters, fundamentally altering coastlines across the planet. Entire low-lying regions, fertile river valleys, and vast coastal plains were submerged beneath the waves. If civilizations had thrived in these prime coastal settlements, building great cities and developing intricate cultures, their worlds would have been slowly or perhaps suddenly swallowed by the rising waters. What remained would be hidden deep beneath the sea, waiting quietly in the dark and cold, almost impossible for us to reach and recognize. Volcanic winters and super eruptions offer another terrifying mechanism of erasure. We tend to think of volcanoes as localized events, but a super eruption can unleash devastation on a global scale. Around 74,000 years ago, the Toba supervolcano in Indonesia erupted with a force that covered much of the planet in ash. The sun was obscured, global temperatures plummeted, and the world was plunged into a volcanic winter that may have lasted for years or even decades. Such an event would have decimated populations, disrupted food chains, and shattered any nascent civilizations. For those who survived, the world would have become a hostile, darkened place where only the most basic forms of survival were possible. The memory of what came before, the knowledge, the skills, the structures would have been swept away by the sheer force of environmental collapse, leaving future generations to start again from near zero. Cosmic impacts also demonstrate Earth's capacity for sudden, profound resets. The scientific record shows that our planet has been struck by asteroids and comets many times throughout its long history. Roughly 65 million years ago, a colossal impact in what is now Mexico wiped out most species on Earth, including the dinosaurs, fundamentally resetting the course of life. Closer to human history, around 12,800 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, something unusual happened. The climate, which had been warming, suddenly plunged back into freezing conditions, an event known as the Younger Dryas. Some researchers suggest this abrupt shift was triggered by a comet or asteroid impact, which could have unleashed massive fires, widespread flooding, and rapid climate change across continents. If a civilization had existed at that time, poised on the cusp of agricultural development, its destruction would have been almost certain. The Earth itself delivers the blows that cleanse the surface, leaving little behind. Beyond these grand cataclysms, the very nature of time works against the permanence of human evidence. Our creations are astonishingly fragile. A modern city, if abandoned today, would decay with surprising speed. Within a few hundred years, vegetation would reclaim concrete, metal would corrode, and wooden structures would rot into dust. After tens of thousands of years, almost nothing recognizable would remain. Consider organic materials like textiles, paper, or even human bodies. They vanish within centuries unless preserved under rare, specific conditions. Even stone, our most enduring building material, erodes over vast stretches of time. Mountains rise and fall, rivers shift course, and tectonic plates grind across the surface, burying, uplifting, or subducting anything in their path. Over deep time, even the most monumental structures can be pulverized, scattered, and dissolved. This inherent impermanence casts a new light on the archaeological record. We often interpret the silence, the long stretches where no evidence of complex human activity is found, as an absence of such activity. The illusion of silence leads us to believe that nothing significant occurred before the rise of civilization. But if the Earth is a constant eraser, then this silence is not an absence of activity, but the expected outcome of relentless natural erasure. It means that what did occur has simply been removed, dissolved by the forces of geology and time. The lack of evidence does not necessarily mean nothing was there. It often means the evidence simply could not survive the vast spans of time and the Earth's transformative power. Yet even in the face of such overwhelming erasure, something often remains: the echoes of fragmented memory, preserved in mythology. Across cultures and continents, we find remarkably similar stories of destruction and rebirth. Great floods, fires from the sky, periods of darkness or world-ending cold appear in traditions separated by oceans and millennia. These narratives, often dismissed as mere fables, may be something far more profound. They could be the symbolic echoes of immense catastrophes, cultural memories passed down through generations of survivors. Though mutable, reshaped by language and belief, these oral traditions carry fragments of
Though mutable, reshaped by language and belief, These oral traditions carry fragments of truth, preserving the core memory of a world destroyed and then reborn. They are testaments to how people coped with events so vast they could only be understood as divine intervention or cosmic resets.
The profound realization that emerges from this perspective is that our accepted historical timeline may be merely a superficial layer. What we call the beginning of civilization, the documented rise of agriculture, cities, and writing, may not be the true first beginning at all. It may be the latest chapter in a much longer, cyclical story. Our civilization may be built atop countless erased worlds, their stories dissolved by the relentless march of geological time. The whispers of forgotten geniuses, the anomalous artifacts, the megalithic wonders, these are not just isolated puzzles. They are reminders that the Earth has a memory written in its layers of rock and ice, and that humanity's journey through time may be far more complex, far more ancient, and far more cyclical than we have ever dared to imagine. The previous act explored the immense forces of nature, the geological resets that have shaped Earth again and again, erasing much of what came before. Now we must ask, if civilizations were swept away by these cataclysms, how do we explain the seemingly abrupt leaps forward, the sudden bursts of creativity and advancement that punctuate our human story? Mainstream history often presents a linear progression, a slow, steady climb from primitive beginnings to complex societies. But the archaeological record, when viewed through the lens of resets, tells a different story. It reveals long periods of silence, followed by what appear to be inexplicable explosions of progress. These sudden advances are difficult to reconcile with a continuous, unbroken timeline. But if history is not a straight line, but a series of rises, falls, and rebirths, then our beginnings may simply be recoveries. Consider the profound shift that occurred around 40,000 years ago. For hundreds of thousands of years before that, anatomically modern humans existed, yet the tools we find are relatively simple, little changed across vast spans of time. Then, almost without warning, a creative explosion ignited. Sophisticated cave art appeared in places like France and Spain. We find carved figurines, musical instruments, and advanced hunting tools all emerging with astonishing rapidity. Why did this sudden flowering of culture and innovation happen then and not earlier? If humanity had the same brain and body for all that time, why the sudden awakening? The reset theory suggests another possibility. This was not a virgin beginning, but a reawakening. Perhaps earlier cultures, earlier attempts at civilization, had been wiped away by catastrophe. The survivors would have been few, their knowledge lost, forced to only focus on survival. But as conditions slowly improved, as stability returned, they began to rebuild. They rediscovered skills, they re-engaged with symbolic thought, and they created anew. To us, looking back across the millennia, it seems like an overnight leap. In reality, it may have been a recovery, a re-engagement with an inherent human capacity for ingenuity, perhaps even sparked by faint echoes of what was lost. We see a similar pattern with the agricultural revolution. Around 10,000 years ago, farming emerged in multiple places across the world, almost simultaneously. People in the Middle East, in China, in the Americas, and in Africa all began cultivating crops at roughly the same time, though in different ways. This widespread independent development challenges simple explanations. Was it merely a fortunate coincidence of environmental stability after the last ice age? Or could it be something more? The idea of resets suggests that this was not an invention from scratch, but a rediscovery of lost knowledge. Perhaps fragments of older wisdom about cultivation, about storing food, about managing the land were passed down through generations of survivors. They existed as whispers, as traditions, until the conditions allowed for their reapplication. When the climate stabilized, humanity was ready not to invent farming, but to rediscover it, accelerating its spread and leading to the rise of permanent settlements. This perspective challenges the comforting linear narrative we often accept. History is not a steady climb, but a series of rises, falls, and rebirths. Our current civilization, with its intricate technology and global reach, may not be a unique pinnacle,
but one phase in a story that has played out countless times before. Each cycle may have seen humanity rediscover the genius of their predecessors, building upon foundations that were seemingly erased but never entirely forgotten. The resilience of humanity is a constant thread through this unfolding story. Even after catastrophic resets, when entire worlds are swallowed by the sea or choked by ash, small groups of survivors endure. They are forced to return to a simpler way of life, to basic shelters and fundamental tools. But they rebuild. Slowly, painstakingly, they piece together knowledge, they re-establish society, sometimes carrying fragments of older wisdom in their myths, their symbols, or their oral traditions. These fragments become the seeds of a new beginning, shaping the reawakening that follows. This brings us to an enduring question of progress. Is our civilization truly unique? Are we, in our current advanced state, outside the rhythm of these cycles? Or are we too experiencing a phase that has played out countless times before? Our cities are vast, our technology complex, our reach extends beyond the planet itself. Yet this advanced technology is not a guarantee of permanence. It is a temporary state, vulnerable to the same cyclical forces of the Earth that erased what came before. Climate shifts, geological disruptions, even cosmic impacts are all part of the planet's rhythm, and our intricate global systems are delicately balanced. The secrets of ancient technology are not mere curiosities. They are profound echoes, connecting us to a lineage of human ingenuity stretching back through deep time, through forgotten cycles. They hint that the human capacity for innovation, for understanding, for building, is not unique to our age. It is an enduring aspect of our species, repeatedly reawakened, repeatedly expressed, even after immense destruction. These ancient whispers remind us that our place in history is not isolated. We are part of a longer, more intricate story, one that calls us to consider how we might endure and how we might carry the fragments of our own age into whatever future awaits. The questions we ask about civilizations lost to time are not merely academic puzzles. They're existential inquiries, echoing from the deep past, forcing us to reconsider our place in the grand narrative of this planet. We are invited now to shed the illusion of linear progress, to embrace a more cyclical view of human history, where advancement is not a steady climb, but a recurring rhythm of creation and erasure. The unexplainable artifacts, the megalithic wonders, the enigmatic maps, each is a faint voice from a forgotten age, reminding us of humanity's boundless potential. But they also serve as a stark testament to our repeated vulnerability. These whispers of ingenuity tell of worlds that reached heights we are only now beginning to fathom, only to be swept away by forces beyond their control. The journey to understand these secrets is far from over. It is a continuous excavation, not just of the Earth, but of our own long-held assumptions. Each new discovery chips away at the rigid framework of accepted history, revealing glimpses of a past far richer and more complex than we once believed. It is a call to wonder, to contemplate, that our civilization may be but one vibrant chapter in an unimaginably long story, built upon the hidden foundations of countless others. The Earth holds its memories in layers of stone, in the enduring power of myth, and in the unanswered questions we still ask. We are part of a grand cyclical narrative, where beginnings are often rediscoveries, and endings are merely transformations. The echoes of forgotten technology are not just curiosities. They are a testament to what once was, what now is, and what may yet be again. They remind us that the human story is written not just in ink on paper, but in the very fabric of the world itself, waiting for us to learn how to read its deepest lessons.